The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
We're all familiar with the three whats: what it is, what it can do for me, and what does it cost. Tyler Rickenaugh, Country Financial, can help you find the answers with insurance coverage to help protect what's most important to you, all at a price you can afford. So while you're juggling work and kids while trying to keep an eye on your financial future, Tyler Rickenaugh, Country Financial, will make sure they are the first ones there when you need them most.
The kids are back to school, and your schedule is busier than ever. From daycare pickup, doctor's appointments, sports, and college tuition, a parent's signature is a powerful thing. Have you ever stopped to think, what would happen if you weren't able to provide one? With thoughtful estate planning, you can make sure that your child's health and education needs are met in the event of your absence due to a temporary incapacity or even death. The estate planning team at Hurley Burrish is here to help.
Fostering deeper relationships, influencing behavior change, developing resilience. You're about to start winning. Here is your host, Christine Bright.
Welcome to Parenting Game. I am so glad you are here. We are doing a safety series, and today we are going to be discussing car seats. It is so overwhelming to purchase the correct car seat. You have to take in mind the height and weight of your child, the vehicle that it's going into, but we have some help today. Natalie Courtier, who is with the Sun Prairie Fire and Rescue, is going to give us some great information on how to select the correct child safety seat. Natalie, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited.
Thanks for inviting me.
Well, you have a very long name, title, I should say, for what you do here. Please explain your title.
Sure. So I am the Community Risk Reduction Officer at Sun Prairie. What that means is I take all of our data, calls, and incidents, anything that we're seeing going on in our community, and I evaluate that risk. Different ways that we can reduce injury, reduce loss, and I also keep track of what's going on in the state and nationally to watch for anything that could be coming our way in the future. I am also a certified child passenger safety technician and an instructor. I do about 300 car seats here in Sun Prairie a year, so I've seen a lot of cars, a lot of car seats, and a lot of kiddos.
That is great. I know when my son was little, the car seat didn't have a lot of regulation yet, and you really did buy the one size fits all. And now that's not the case. There's a lot of regulation. There's a lot of science. There's a lot of research that goes into why you purchase the car seat that you do. So I'm glad that you are here to walk us through that. Before we get into it, though, share a little bit about your family.
Sure. So I am married with 2 children. My son is 11 and my daughter is 7. They're both very active as a kid. They did a ton of sports and activities, and they have graduated through most of the steps that we're going to show you today. I still have them on but not for long.
Okay. Yeah, and what is it? It seems like a happy day when you no longer have to navigate the car seat situation. But we are going to touch a little bit too that stage of when they move to seatbelt. There are some things that we kind of do as parents that may be incorrect. So we're going to touch on that as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I always like to ask parents this because we often focus on all the things that we may not be doing right as a parent. So I always like to provide an opportunity where you can pat yourself on the back. Share with us one thing that you have done well with your kids.
My kids are really resilient. They're well-rounded and they're resilient. We don't let people down. We get back up and try over and over and over again. So I think instilling that drive to want to better themselves and do better. It's probably the best thing that we were able to accomplish as parents.
That's great. And resilience, we know that is so important for our kids to be able to overcome. You have also had an interesting career path. You have a story that also helped ignite your passion for what you do these days. First, share with us how young were you when you involved in doing things in safety.
So I actually started my career path when I was in 8th grade going into high school. I became a fire escorter, and it was an intro to different careers. I started doing fire and EMS, and by the time I was 16, I had my first fire certification. And then I graduated from Madison College with my fire technician diploma, not the degree, just the diploma. And that was my senior year before I even walked from high school.
Oh, sweet. And then a little bit about your path then after you completed your schooling.
So I have been out to Maryland for college. I've been in a couple of departments as a volunteer. I settled here in Prairie, and then Prairie started hiring full-time firefighters to supplement or augment our volunteer responses back in 2012, and I was hired as one of the first full-time firefighters. So I've been involved with Prairie for many years.
That is so great. Share with us your story. You were involved in a fatal car accident, and unfortunately, it is a sad but powerful picture of how important car seats are. Share with us your story.
So when I was 11, so a very long time ago, before we had all of these options and studies and regulations at universities to the level that we do today, I was riding in a car with a family to go babysit, and we were following around this teal crash, and the oldest of the children sitting in the front seat of the car seat. The front seat was never the safest option. These things weren't going as much backpack as they are now. That is always best for kids. It happens right at this side of the vehicle, and it was a so had you been in the back seat, you might have been.
So you know how important it is to do things correctly and
Educating people so that they know where the safest is, what their options are. If you don't know your options, you're not going to be able to do it.
And it gets overwhelming. You have a new baby, and you're navigating diapers and formula and running on very little sleep. And then you go into a store to pick out your car seat, and I don't even know where to start. So this is why I'm so thankful that you are here. You are going to show us where to start. So obviously an infant car seat. I look at this with the extra padding on the inside, and I think about my son who's now 29. So again, it was a one-size-fits-all car seat.
It really was.
He was tiny, and I put him in one, and we talked about this before we started. So let's just go ahead and put it out there. When I put him in that car seat, I did not think he was going to be safe, because he was like this little potato, and I don't even know if this is strapped in. So I did make my husband stop as we left the hospital, and I felt it was going to be safer if I held him and then I had the seatbelt over me. Now, very aware, so much not so. And as you shared, just share up the reasoning behind it, because as Mama Bear, like, I have him here, he's going to be okay. Why will it not be okay?
So we go back to physics, and the weight of your baby and the speed that you're traveling actually makes the mass of the baby so much more on impact. So an object in motion continues in motion until its force is exerted. And you can't hold a 5 or 10-pound baby when we're going 50 miles an hour, because after that equation is done, they weigh more than the average amount of dad can hold. So they actually slip out our hands, and not to mention there's so much going on with motion as you're being impacted with multiple impacts and collision. You can't properly control that baby. So it's really not safe to do.
Yeah, so no matter how Mama Bear you're feeling, how protective you're feeling, car seat, always
But 29 years ago, we did not have the data and the studies that we do now. We didn't have the car seats and the options that are out there today. Like this seat, for example, this insert that's in here holds a baby down to 4 pounds, and it makes everything fit down better.
Yeah, I kind of want to crawl in there. It's a little like super, super comfy. But I can see, yeah, because when my son was little, I mean, we didn't even have this much padding.
And that's the other thing that we see a lot of times is parents want their child to be comfortable when they're in a car seat. So they buy all these extra pads to put around and under them. And unfortunately, when they come in to visit, and I have to explain to them that that's not safe to do. If it's not crash tested with the seat, it can't be used because they squish different, they create gaps, which means in an impact, the straps will loosen and separate, and the baby can be ejected.
Okay, so if you know you're going to have a little peanut, then you need to make sure that the extra padding is purchased with the seat.
Yes.
Oh, that's very important. I did not know that.
So there are seats that have more padding, and then there's some seats that are just less frills, perfectly safe. Sometimes they're easier to use with the less frills as well. They just may not look as squishy and comfortable. But in all honesty, we don't keep our children in their car seat all day. They're usually in for short trips. You don't need to be swaddled on the cloud.
Yeah. So speaking of swaddle, that question popped into my head. What about once they're strapped in? Is it better to put the blanket on them and strap them in, or is it better to have them all strapped in and then put that in?
That's a great question. With car seats, we always want those straps to be as close to their body as possible. That reduces the cushion squish on an impact. That's going to also squish down, separate the shoulder straps, and potentially eject them. So always best to buckle the child in first, get it nice and tight so that you can't pinch the material at their shoulders.
Okay.
And then tuck a blanket around. They also make a certain style cover for your car seat that go around the top, like a shower mat cover. They also have some cute ones that just velcro around here and then tend over. Thankfully, we're coming up to summer. We really don't need those things, but Wisconsin winters, I see it all the time. We want to avoid the ones that go under the baby and through the straps because that adds too much cushion. So nothing between the baby and the straps other than clothing. Not winter coats, not buntings, just clothing.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you because I did have this conversation came up, and it came up about a year ago, and I'm like, I don't think so. I think that's kind of not true, and it is true that you don't do winter jackets. Now, real quickly, does that go all the way up if they're in a car seat to avoid the winter jackets?
And I will teach you some tips and tricks.
Okay.
On how to remember your coat and keep it on your child in the car when it's first.
Okay, awesome. That's excellent. So anything else that's important for us to know when they're in the infant carrier? I noticed the little level built in over here.
So when we go back to selecting the right car seat for your situation, the first thing we want to make sure you do is buy new. Never buy used safety equipment. So I know it's tempting at the garage sale to find a car seat that's $40. Oh my gosh, we're only going to use this for a few months. Do I really want to spend $200 on a car seat? Yes. Or go to a trusted family member or a friend who may have one stored away from their baby they just had a year or two ago and see if you can borrow theirs. If you would trust your child in their care, you can trust the car seat. Car seats are like you use them once in a crash and you never use them again. You can't really see the age on them. So people may not know this and crash to their car seat and like, oh, babies too, we don't need this for the car. Because we're going to sell it at the garage sale. It's crash and you can't trust them to be honest, especially when you have some money put into the car. So always buy new or borrow from a family member or a friend. The other thing that we need to make sure of in the car seats is that we select the right size. Get a seat that goes down to the lower weight limits. Also, when you're installing it in the vehicle, make sure you read the manual that comes with the seat and your vehicle view. There are positions in the car where car seats cannot be installed, and each car is different. So if you look in your vehicle, there's one you'll be able to locate if your car has any of those positions. Also, there has been the lower anchors installed in vehicles, and they have to come on all car seats. You cannot use lower anchors in all positions of the vehicle. Typically, not always, but typically directly in the middle, you have to use a seatbelt to install.
So this lower anchor, we're talking about that little hard plastic piece. I don't know if they're seeing it on this camera, but this piece comes off right here. That's not part of the seat. Is that what you're saying?
No,
This.
so actually, I'm just going to set this down here. And we'll look at the base. So since it's an infant-only seat,
Okay.
the base stays in the car, and that carrier can come in and out with you as you go. It's a convenience thing for parents when we're busy.
Yeah.
We're in and out of the grocery store, light, the carrier's fairly light at this point. So it's up to carry all of that weight. As they get bigger, we don't have this opportunity, but for now, this is convenience for us, tired of overwork, parent. So these down here are actually our lower anchors, and those clip into bars that are installed in the seatbelt of your vehicle. There's a weight limit on those that we have to worry about with different seats, but as we get older, we progress in our seat loads, we will have to kind of keep track of that. So the lower anchors usually cannot use the centers. Okay, not all the time do allow it, but it does take some research to use that. If not, perfectly fine. You can install the seatbelt and it's still the same seat features. Okay. You can also, little known fact to many people, skip this part. Say the second vehicle that won't be used very often and you don't need the convenience feature of this. Actually install your infant seat right in with the seatbelt. They go through these loops. All the manufacturers have really great YouTube channels where you can kind of go through and find your exact seat and which or they can come see us, but this one usually tends to be a pinch, like, oh my gosh, we're going on vacation, we're going to need to do
Yes.
this. And you pull it up on your phone, get Uber or Uber, and
Excellent. Okay, so that's infant.
infant-only seat tends to get families 9 months to 15 months, depending on the size of your child, the torso height of your child. That's really what we're looking at as we're looking for height limits on their seats. The top of their head should be 1 inch below the top of the hard plastic shell. Once they reach that limit, they do need to move over to the convertible seat, or if they've maxed out on weight or standing weight. All of our car seats do have that listed on the side of them or on their packaging. So there's a lot of whichever comes first.
Yes.
Yes. So once we've outgrown our infant-only seats, we will move.
Wow, that's like
To a convertible car seat. So this car seat is facing. Each one has its own weight limit. And also converts to okay. So this seat right here actually has a weight limit. If your child reaches 40 pounds, it's going to turn forward in the seat. If your child's head is much below the top, it's going to turn on. But they do also have to be at least 2 years old to go forward in the seat. Every manufacturer is also different on that. Every state is a little bit different. I want to touch on that. Wisconsin hasn't quite passed that regulation. We're still working on it, but our neighboring state of Illinois is basically the data machines that is so much safer to keep kids where as long as possible. So typically, in a seat like this, you could get a child either 4 or 5 rear facing, and it's not uncommon to see kids rear facing to 4 years old. But I say that with a grain of salt because my daughter was the one to prove me wrong. Her older brother was rear facing until after 4 years old. There was no reason that no kid should be turned before 4 in my mind. And then I think my daughter and I met my match. She outgrew my weight just over 2 years on her car seats. So that made me really realize that there's a need for so many different seats on the kids. How do I pay? Just keep track of where your child is on the bill charts. If you have a heavier child, get a seat to have it, especially for rear facing. Most of the seats forward facing have about the same limit, but there is a range for rear facing. If your child is long and lean, get a seat with higher horizontal levels. keep track of that. What seat worked for your niece might not work for your daughter. What seat worked for your best friend's little boy might not work for your little boy. And everybody tries to do this too. So just because this works great in somebody's minivan doesn't mean it's going to work for your
smaller
car.
car, sedan. One question I have, because I saw these, how safe is it to have the child with a water bottle in their little pocket? And I also want to talk about those strap-on toys and mirrors that usually go on the head seat. Are those safe?
Great, that is a great topic. Anything that is not can be a projectile in the event of a crash. We prefer to see soft items, but a water bottle is always going to be hard. So limiting the size of the water bottle and how heavy it is. Maybe not a big metal cooler water bottle, but a small plastic sippy cup would be a safer choice for you. The toys, again, if it's not attached, it's a projectile. Choose soft items. The ones that go on the handlebars and cricket seats are not crash tested, so not ideal to put onto a car seat. The mirrors, we don't recommend the mirrors, but if they are soft-sided and shatter resistant, it can make some situations safer for the driver, especially with parents who just want to It helps reduce them turning around and keep their eyes out on the road, and for some people it actually creates more distraction. So it's important to know your specific level of comfort with it. If you're going to be looking in the mirror constantly and not focusing on the road, it might not be best for you.
What is your advice? As I said, I've been getting a lot of these questions lately. People traveling want to keep their child entertained. One of my big pieces of advice that I give now is to take turns sitting in the back with them.
Absolutely.
Then you're not turning around and you're not unbuckling yourself and parading, and make that the plan to take turns sitting in the back.
That's a great option. Also, as you have children, sometimes that helps. It can sometimes create more distraction with the arguments in the backseat. But the other thing that you can do is keep a small rotation of toys that can work only in the car. So things that they like that are soft, special stuffies, things that they can only play with in the car.
All right. Okay, we are running out of time. There's so much, so we're going to kind of blow through the next ones that you have. Spend about a minute each on each.
All right. So this convertible car seat will also go forward facing, and this one gets us to 50 pounds. Okay. That is not the last car seat your child will need. So after that,
And I'm looking at these car seats. Oh my goodness. They look like a nice car, or you're strapping them in to go to the moon.
they totally do. All right. So this one here is a combination seat. This is our forward facing mode.
Okay.
And this is going to provide a little bit easier way for children to get in, especially as they get to that independent age, 4 or 5 years old. They want to buckle themselves in, right? So they can get into this nice and easy. That other one sits up a little harder.
And
Okay.
I like the age. Like, people gotta remember, we're talking about 5, 6-year-olds. When I was, it was 2, and you could just throw them in the seatbelt.
Yeah, not anymore.
Okay.
So this car seat will get your child in kindergarten. We recommend not putting them into a booster seat until at least kindergarten, but the longer they stay harnessed, the better. Every time you move them, it's actually a demotion of safety. A 5-point harness is going to give them more points of protection than
And it looks like this is adjustable then too, so you can keep it that, like,
It
that
does.
inch above their head.
So when we go forward facing, we're actually looking to keep their shoulders below the harnesses here. Just
Okay.
like this, so your babies can actually get.
Oh, wow.
That's a pretty big child.
Yes.
You're looking at an 8-foot
Awesome.
especially
Okay.
this little one.
There's so much. You got 2 more to go
All
through.
right,
Yeah,
so
let's-
this one here is going to turn into a booster as well. So
Okay.
booster seats. Eddie's kindergarten, this is a high back booster. This is going to give them the support and the reminders they need to learn how to use a 3-point harness, a seatbelt. We can use like what I use. So these will come out and we buckle the child in through these red buckets.
Okay.
So not the last one yet. It could be, especially if they have a long knee child.
Alright, and then we go, this is pretty lightweight.
This is that stage when your kids are really busy off to soccer practice or t-ball, hanging out with their friends. This is a high back booster and gives you the same features as that other one, just a more lightweight version. And then the back of this comes off after they have figured out how to sit still. And that's the other really important thing with booster seats. When we buckle them in the back of the harness, we put them to the right place. They can't move forward, they can't move around, they can't grab anything. They have seat belts, they can bend over and things up. So they are not in the right position. And that's the only way that seat belt is going to hold them properly. So,
Okay, this is always such a magical stage. When you just have the booster, you can throw it around. It's going to fit in most vehicles.
yes, it does. These are kind of the workhorse, especially when we get to that booster seat age, because they're easy to transport in because kids can do it themselves. A lot of kids will still need a backless booster until they're 10 or 11 years old, depending again how tall they are. They need that seatbelt to fit across their hips and then up across their clavicle when they're sitting all the way back in that seat. So if they can't sit all the way back with their feet on the ground and their knees bent over the front of your vehicle seat, you're not quite ready. Try them in a different position in the car. Sometimes a third row in a van or a middle seat is a better option. You just want to make sure that their head has some type of head and neck protection so that the rest basically protects the top of the ears.
And what is the magical height, weight for your dog car seat?
Typically, it's 4 foot high.
Okay.
Some kids in some positions in vehicles will be able to use that position before 4 foot 9. But as a general rule, 4 foot 9 is what those car seats are. They're really the baby seatbelts.
Wow, this was so helpful. We're out of time, but one question, resources. Definitely your local fire department, definitely the Prairie Fire Department. You mentioned go to the YouTube channel of the manufacturer. They'll have information for you. Is there any other resources?
Safe Kids Coalition.
Okay.
So if you look up Safe Kids worldwide, you will have a whole resource of where to go. They can connect you with a technician near you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, they have a list of us. Even if you call them, they will get you connected with an email or phone number. So, and then even locally here in the Madison area, the hospital is a great safety resource, not only for persons, but for smoking lives.
Another resource, their local children's hospital.
Yes.
Natalie, thank you so much for the information, and we thank you.
We're all familiar with the 3 whats: what it is, what it can do for me, and what does it cost. Tyler Rickenaut, Country Financial, can help you find the answers with insurance coverage to help protect what's most important to you, all at a price you can afford. So while you're juggling work and kids while trying to keep an eye on your financial future, Tyler Rickenaut, Country Financial, will make sure they are the first ones there when you need them most.
The kids are back to school, and your schedule is busier than ever. From daycare pickup, doctor's appointments, sports, and college tuition, a parent's signature is a powerful thing. Have you ever stopped to think, what would happen if you weren't able to provide one? With thoughtful estate planning, you can make sure that your child's health and education needs are met in the event of your absence due to a temporary incapacity or even death. The estate planning team at Hurley Burrish is here to help.
Thank you for watching The Parenting Game. All episodes of The Parenting Game are available on demand at sunprairiemediacenter.com.